Welcome to our new video conversation with Edward Dindinger from Dindinger and Kohler Law in Boise. Today we'll be asking Edward about the legal side of organizing a business in Idaho. Can you tell us a bit about what you encourage or discourage about just doing business on a handshake?
I generally tend to discourage it. And I understand, if you're doing business with a friend or family, the temptation is there to, hey, this person is not going to hurt me. This person's looking out for my interest, just like I'm looking out for theirs. What's wrong with us just doing business based on trust? Well, again, people forming businesses only see the honeymoon, they never see the divorce. There is always that potential for things to go wrong down the road. And if that happens, having a written document, an articles of organization, your articles of incorporation, whatever it may be, even just a contract between two people, if you insist on operating as a partnership, having some formal enforceable agreement between the two of you, or however many there are, is really going to benefit you down the road if something does go wrong. It sets the expectations, it allows people to know where the boundaries are, can prevent a lot of the problems, but if you do have a problem, it's really going to be your best friend down the road. So like I said, I strongly discourage people from doing business just based on a handshake. It's always worth the time to consult a lawyer and get something firm and in writing if possible. So there's three things I would say are really critical with regard to the benefits of formally organizing a business as opposed to operating as a sole proprietorship or a partnership even. Number one, I would say, is the separation of your business assets and liabilities from your personal assets and liabilities. This is extremely important in terms of acquiring business property, but then also potentially being exposed to liability for the acts of the business. Another very important thing about business organization is there's tax implications depending on which form of business organization you choose. For instance, an LLC can be taxed as an S Corp or as a partnership, assuming there's multiple members. Of course, there's differences between S Corps and C Corps. The third thing is the form of business organization that you choose can really have an impact on charting a course forward in your business and where you want to go, where you see yourself going.
So what about if we want to add family members to my business? So what happens if I do that and then there's a falling out?
Sure. So doing business with family is obviously a tricky endeavor under any circumstances. It really depends what you want to do. Do you just want to have the family members have an ownership interest in the business, or do you actually want to involve them in the management? So on the front end, if you form an LLC, for instance, you can have two different classes of membership. You can have just regular members and then manager members. The manager members are the ones who actually get to decide business decisions, whereas the regular members, they're essentially along for the ride. They own a share of the business assets and they're entitled to a share of the profits. In a corporation, you can have two different classes of stock, voting and non-voting stock. These are all types of things that we would discuss and set up in the initial consultation, figure out what your expectations are, and move forward accordingly.
So definitely better to get that set up properly at the beginning.
Sure. I always say that our clients, when they're forming a business, all they see is the honeymoon and nobody sees the divorce. So part of what being a good business lawyer is looking out for those potential pitfalls in the future and ensuring that your client's interest is protected at all times.
Thank you. So what about some of the common types of business organizations?
Right, so a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're just starting out, are going to be what's called a sole proprietor. That's where a person just operates a business, he buys a product and sells it, or he produces a service and sells that. Now that's where you and the business are considered a unitary legal entity. You are liable for anything that the business does. If there's more than one person within that sole proprietorship situation, it's a partnership. Stepping up from that, and what we're talking about here, more formal forms of business organization. The number one most common that our clients seek is an LLC, or a limited liability company. And in a limited liability company, you have what are called members, those are the owners. Another variant of a limited liability company in Idaho is the professional limited liability company. That's limited to certain professions, accountants, attorneys, so forth. And going up from LLC is you have corporations. And there's two different main types of corporations. There's S Corps and C Corps. The differences have to do with tax implications.
Edward, what are some of the things a person who's considering forming a business do from this point on?
Well, obviously, I think the first thing is you have to look at the economic implications. Can you be successful in this business? I think that if you have experience in the particular field that you'd like to open a business in, that's obviously a benefit. It's going to give you a much better view of what can be done feasibly. If you decide that the business is a feasible thing for you, then I think the next thing to do is decide what you want out of it. What are you looking for? Are you looking for this to be just your own thing where you're calling all the shots? Do you want to bring your family members in? And if you do want to bring them in, do you want them to just be part owners, or do you want them to be managers along with you? And the third thing that I think is really important is you do need to talk to a business attorney. Only a business attorney can properly evaluate the risks of your current situation and how those might be ameliorated going forward. I'd certainly encourage people to call our firm. We handle business law and, as I mentioned before, family law as well, and those areas intertwine. Our phone number is 208-713-8620. You can email me directly at edward@dklawboise.com. See us on Facebook at facebook.com/dklawboise, or visit us on the web at www.dklawboise.com. Thanks for being with us today. Appreciate it.